I'm so glad to be here with you all this evening. We have a very hot topic. We have a very interesting topic tonight. We're talking about tipping the scales of attraction, how to begin attracting based on your healing journey versus your unresolved trauma. Okay, and I think we all want to know how to do this, right? Um, you know, when you come to realize that you are a magnetic being, whether you are aware of it or not, right? We are all magnetic beings, whether we're aware of it or not. We're always attracting either with intention or without intention, right? But when you begin to set an intention for what you're attracting into your life, what we need to know is how to begin attracting things into our life, people, things, and situations into our lives from a place of healing. We want to be attracting things that match our healing work, our healing journey versus our unresolved trauma, right? So, thank you so much for those who are in the chat. I see Jatin in the chat. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Um, and Azim, greetings, Azim. I see Digimo in the chat. Greetings, greetings. Thank you for joining us from Brooklyn tonight. We really appreciate it. So, y'all, let's get into it. Let's get into it. We are talking about how to tip the scales of attraction, right? How do we go from attracting things into our life that are just matching our trauma to attracting things into our life that are a reflection of our healing journey, right? We are beginning to reflect the frequency of the things that we want to attract into our lives, right? And I'm going to give a really basic breakdown, you guys, so that I'm not using a whole bunch of words like frequency and energy field and things like that that some people may not be familiar with. So for those who are familiar with all those terms, just hang in here for a minute. Be patient while I get everyone caught up, get everyone caught up to speed, okay? And listen for a new perspective. Maybe I'm talking about something that you're familiar with, but you haven't thought about it from this perspective, okay? Before I get into that, I do want to introduce myself. My name is Pangea Northstar. I am a Reiki healer, a teacher, a channel, and I love to talk about attracting love energy, okay? And that's the name of this segment that we do every Tuesday night, attracting love energy, okay? So we talk about attracting love of all kinds, okay? So, y'all, tipping the scales of attraction, okay? We want to talk about, let's explain first of all what we're talking about with attraction, okay? As I stated before, we are magnetic beings. Um, we're always attracting, whether we are aware of it or not, we're always attracting people, things, and scenarios that match our magnetic frequency. Okay. And what I'm talking about when I say magnetic frequency is this. We have a magnetic field all around us, an invisible magnetic field all around us. Okay. And this magnetic field is full of energy. Okay, now when you research this, you'll see terms like biomagnetic field. Okay, but in just common everyday lingo, we call this our aura. Okay, so when you hear people talking about vibes and frequency and aura, what we're talking about is this invisible magnetic field all around us. Okay, and this magnetic field is full of the vibrations of energy. Okay. Now, energetic vibrations are emitted from your emotions. Okay. From your thoughts and emotions. Okay. And when you research this, you'll get conflicting information about things like how big this magnetic field is. Okay. And that does vary depending on how much a person is intentionally engaging with their magnetic field. All right. But for the purposes of this conversation today, What we're talking about is the rate of speed of the vibrations in your magnetic field or in your aura. Okay. Hi, Colton. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Thank you. And greetings to everyone in the chat. All right. So now, when we're talking about frequency, frequency is a measure of these vibrations, the measure of the vibrations in our energy field. Okay. How slowly or how quickly is the energy in our magnetic field vibrating? Okay. So emotions that are what we would call low vibrational. So emotions based on trauma, emotions that make us feel trapped, emotions that cause us to contract, such as fear or shame, emotions that make us hide ourselves, okay, is what I mean by contracting. Those are low vibrational frequencies, okay? So those are a frequency. When we say frequency, we're asking how many times does the vibrational pattern of your energy, how many times does it peak per minute? Okay? So a low vibration is a low and slow vibration that does not peak very many times per minute. Okay? So for instance, the frequency of shame is 20. Okay? 20 times that it would peak. It is, I'm not sure if it's per minute or per second. Somebody can fact check that for me, okay? So if I'm misquoting that, forgive me, okay? But that would be a measurement of how many times that vibration that is sent out from the emotion of shame peaks, okay? Greetings, Denotrium. All right, so now, but a very high vibrational emotion is bliss or gratitude, okay, which would have a frequency of 700. Okay, so that's 700 peaks per second or per minute. Okay, so this is what we mean when we say low vibrational or high vibrational. Okay, so we hear this. This has become very common lingo in our culture as the collective consciousness of humanity begins to rise. We're becoming more aware of these things. So I just wanted to give a really quick breakdown of what we mean. Okay, so these vibrations, low vibrations, are caused by trauma. Okay, are caused by trauma. And if you have a lot of unresolved trauma in your energy field, meaning you've been through things in your life that you have not worked on healing, then that means these low vibrational energetics, this low vibrational energy is going to be most dominant in your energy field. Okay. Now, let's say you are being intentional. You're intentionally healing yourself. You're working on unresolved trauma, and you're beginning to resolve that trauma in yourself. You may be doing that through therapy. You may be doing that through some kind of therapeutic art, some kind of art that's therapeutic for you. You could be doing, and when I say therapy, I'm talking about talk therapy, but you could be doing some other type of therapy, and energetic therapy, such as Reiki or sound baths, okay, which is what I specialize in, Reiki and sound baths. So those things help to begin to change the dominant frequencies in your energy field. Okay. Now, let's go a little deeper with this. Okay. So when we begin to heal ourselves, we begin to change our thoughts and our emotions. Okay. Our thoughts and our emotions. This is important because our thoughts and our emotions are what is emanating, is what is sending out this energy that our energy field is made up of. Okay? So our thoughts and our emotions don't just stay inside our mind and inside of our body. They actually travel out into the area surrounding our body. Okay, so these frequencies are determined by our thoughts and our emotions. Okay, if this is making sense to you so far, give me some hearts in the chat. Let me know that you're tracking, and let me know if I'm bringing everybody up to speed, because I know we tend to have different groups here, some people who are very familiar with this information and some to whom this is new. Okay, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. So give me some hearts in the chat if this is making sense to you. Okay, now these emotions that are producing these waves of energy, these vibrating waves of energy in our energy field, which is this invisible field all around us. These frequencies, these vibrations are magnetic. Okay, they are magnetic, which means they attract things that are a match. Okay, thank you for all the hearts in the chat. So these frequencies are attractive. They are attracting, they are magnetizing people, things, and scenarios into your life that match their frequency. Okay, that match the same frequency of your vibrations. Okay, they are attracting matching frequencies. Okay, that is why your aura, that's why the technical term, the scientific term for your aura, this field of energy around you, is a biomagnetic field. Okay, listen to that word, magnetic. We know magnets attract. Okay, so when we want to begin attracting or manifesting from the perspective of our healing journey versus our past unresolved trauma, just sitting there creating these dense areas where there's little to no movement in our energetic field, then we must begin to create a shift in our thoughts and our emotions. Okay, we need to create a shift in our thoughts and our emotions in order to begin attracting things that are different than what we've been attracting. Okay, if this makes sense, give me some thumbs up in the chat. Give me some thumbs ups in the chat if this is making sense. Right, we've got all these energetics, all this energy surrounding us. Right, and you think about it, energy is also information. Right, haven't you, I'm sure we've all had this experience that you walk into a room full of people and you can sense the energy in the room. There may be excitement and laughter in that room, and it'll feel very good to you in that room. Right, there may be a very loving and compassionate conversation happening in that room that has a certain feel to it. Right, or if there is an argument happening in that room, right, something that is energetically violent, it's a very unwelcoming feeling. You may walk into the room and be like, "Oh, I just walked into some mess." Right, you can feel the discomfort. You know, sometimes you could tell if you walked into the room and people were just talking about you before you came in the room. You can feel that too. Right, especially if they were saying something negative, you know? So these waves of energy are also information that our body can read. Okay, so now I want you to think about something else in terms of reading energy. Okay, because I really want to drive this point home to you. Okay, think about a time when you met someone that you just instantly clicked with and got to know that person. Okay, think about someone, we've all had these situations where we instantly click with someone, we instantly have chemistry. This could be friendship chemistry or this could be romantic chemistry. All right, it doesn't matter. You instantly click. You feel like you know this person, right? And you keep in contact with this person. You get to know this person, and what happens? You get to know them, and you find out that you have all these things in common with this person. You guys may have similar interests, right? You may have similar life experiences. You may even have similar trauma. Maybe it's similar family drama or similar patterns in relationships, similar patterns in your personal struggles, right? This is what you discover as you get to know this person more and more. So that initial click with that person, that initial chemistry was a frequency match. Okay? That was a match in your energetic fields. Okay? People with similar frequency, similar energy feel familiar to you automatically. Okay? So think about how important that is in dating, for instance. This can be very, very important. It is very important in dating because we tend to feel drawn to people that have similar experiences as us and similar trauma. So if you are a single person and you're dating, it's very important for you to have been working on your past trauma, whether it's about family or relationships, because if not, you're going to automatically attract people who have that similar trauma, and you guys are going to be bumping heads. You're going to be reacting to each other based on your traumatic experiences from the past. Okay? And we've talked about this plenty of times before, right? We've talked about, for example, let's say you tend to attract people who are not honest, right? People who lie about who they are. An excellent question to ask yourself in your meditation time, your journaling time, or to discuss perhaps with your therapist if you're in therapy is, where am I not being honest about who I am? In what ways might I be hiding who I am? Right? Because that is a frequency match. Are you not showing all of who you are? Could you possibly be people pleasing? Right? And only showing the side of yourself that you think will be appeasing and appealing to people. You could, even if you're just doing it just to avoid conflict, it's not like it doesn't have to be like an intentional deception, but you could be doing that to avoid conflict. You could be doing that to appear more attractive. You could be doing that to not, stand out too much, right? To blend in. That's still a form of dishonesty, even if you're doing it to appease people. Let me know if this makes sense. If you're saying, hey, that's fine, that's okay, this is okay with me, and it's really not, that is a form of dishonesty. That is a form of hiding who you really are. If you're not speaking up about your preferences, your beliefs, not enforcing your boundaries and your standards, that is a form of deception. And a lot of times we don't think about it like that, right? But that's very common in dating. People put their best foot forward. As they say, people send out their representative. Most people are going to, in the beginning, not really give you all of who they are. They're not going to show that. They're only going to put on the best face, the most presentable face. Okay? So that's an example of attracting matching frequencies. Okay? Let's say you tend to attract people partners who cheat. Partners who are not faithful to you. Where are you being disloyal to yourself? In what ways are you betraying yourself? Do you attract people who ghost you? Do you attract people who just give up and disappear? Where are you giving up on yourself? Are you committed to the things in your life that you say are important to you? Your goals, your standards, your boundaries, your creative expression. Do you have a certain time? Do you have times in your schedule that are dedicated to those goals? Do you have time set aside that are non-negotiable, right? If you have a time set aside to work on a goal that's important to you, when someone calls you and says, hey, let's go do such and such. No, if it's during that time that is dedicated and that you are committed to working on your goal, that has to be a no. Because that is being faithful to you. That is investing in you. If you're attracting people who ghost you, ask yourself, when you meet somebody new, do you drop everything that you were doing when you weren't dating anyone? Do you drop all the things that you were doing that were good for you? Most people, when they have a long period of singleness, they go into, they start eating better. They start achieving more. They start, going to bed on time. People, you develop these habits that are about you and what's good for you. Do you abandon your journaling habits, your exercise routine, your healthy eating when you start dating someone new? Are you abandoning yourself? Are you ghosting yourself? Okay, these are just some quick examples of what I mean. Okay, so when you are being, bringing all of yourself to the table, you're being honest about who you are staying dedicated to your goals and the things that you want to accomplish for yourself, then what your energy is giving, your energy is saying, I am all the way here. I'm honest. I'm transparent. I'm showing all of who I am. I am committed to me, and therefore I am worthy of commitment. Okay? I am worthy of commitment. That is what your energy is now saying. Okay? So, what we want to dig into a little further here is how to flip that switch from unintentionally attracting based on trauma to intentionally attracting based on your healing journey. Okay? Y'all may hear Max is here on my lap. He wants to be a part of the conversation. If y'all hear strange noises, some lip smacking noises, this is Max here. Okay, maybe he'll pop up in a minute where y'all can see him on the camera. He loves to be a part of our conversations. So, you want to say hi? Say hi to Max. Hey, babes. Oh, that's my baby. Give me some hearts for Max. Listen, I always say Max is my heart opener. Pets are healing, you guys. When you open your heart to the love of a pet, it's very healing. And it can also help you, it helps you to attract love in other areas. It helps you with, in the area of self-acceptance, right? Because especially a dog, your dog is happy to see you every time you come into the room. Every time. I saw the cutest bumper sticker one time, and I was like, oh, I know what you're talking about. The bumper sticker said, Lord, let me become the person that my dog thinks I am. Look at that. Diggy Mo from Brooklyn says, I love you, Max. Jatan says, hey, Max. People are sending you hearts in the chat. Anyway, you guys, so when you begin to intentionally engage in healing unresolved trauma, this shift begins to occur in your energetic field. Okay. And your energetic field becomes dominated by more healed perspectives of yourself and others versus unhealed perspectives of yourself and others. And the most dominant energy in your field is what determines what you're attracting. Okay. And if you guys if questions are coming to your mind, put your question in the chat. I'd love to answer questions about this. Okay. Now, your energy field will become more dominated by flowing energy rather than stuck energy. Your energetic field will become more dominated by high vibrations rather than those low and slow vibrations. And those vibrations begin to attract matching frequencies. Okay, so you'll notice a change in your life when you begin identifying more heavily with healed perspectives rather than unhealed perspectives. Okay, when you begin thinking, you know, I am worthy of commitment versus everybody is cheaters. Everybody is liars and cheaters. I'm just never gonna, I'm never gonna attract anyone who, is honest with me or who can be faithful. When you're thinking those thoughts, oh, that's gonna happen for someone else. That's not gonna happen for me. Or when you're still dwelling on things that happened in the past, because listen, those types of thoughts are informed by what you've experienced in the past, right? But when you begin healing those things, right? And I'm not talking about just forgetting about it and stuffing it under the carpet, as they say, brushing it under the carpet and trying to forget that it happened. I'm talking about a deep dive into what actually happened. A deep dive into what actually happened. Ask yourself questions like, hey, were there some red flags in the beginning? Did I hear or see something that made my antenna stand up? Or even if it wasn't something obvious, did I find myself questioning, is what they're saying to me true right now? Did you get a little tingle in your gut that maybe something wasn't right? Did you give yourself away too quickly? Did you begin shifting everything in your life to suit them rather than allowing that person to come into your life and to sync up with the good things you already had going for yourself? See, when you do that, that's a form of giving your power away. When you automatically shift your life to suit whatever works for that person, and then later on, surprise, surprise, when everything in the relationship is going their way and you need some reciprocity. You're needing for that person to demonstrate that they care about what makes you happy also, and then they don't want to do it. Now that can be shocking. That can be a shock to your system. But if you think about it, you've already trained and taught that person that they're going to get their way. And if that's been your pattern, is giving all of yourself away and ignoring your own needs when someone comes into your life, then that's a reflection of the vibrations that are in your energetic field. You got to stop and ask yourself, where is that coming from? Where did I learn this people pleasing behavior? When was the first time that I ever felt that my needs didn't matter? When was the first time I ever felt that if I had needs, you know, that would present a problem for the people around me? Or that if I expressed my needs, I would no longer receive love? Ask yourself, what is the youngest age at which you ever had that feeling? What is the youngest age at which you ever felt that emotion? Even if it was not verbally communicated, it may have been energetically communicated. There may have been an atmosphere in your home growing up that did not include free expression of your needs. There may have been one person in the home whose energy, whose trauma sucked up all the oxygen, who's one person whose needs filled the atmosphere and didn't leave room for anyone else's. Okay? If this makes sense or sounds familiar to you, give me some fire in the chat. Okay? So, how do we reverse this? Okay? How do we get into this space where we are more heavily identifying with healed perspectives of ourselves and others versus unhealed perspectives of ourselves and others, so that we can begin attracting something different? Okay. So when your thoughts and emotions are more aligned with those healed high vibrational perspectives than those low wounded vibrational perspectives, the engine of attraction turns over in your life and begins to attract, begins to magnetize from a space of healing versus trauma. Okay? So, and this engine of attraction is something that's already at work in your life. But ask yourself, is it attracting the things that you want, or is it attracting people, things, and scenarios that you do not want? So, at the point at which you begin to associate with or identify more highly with healed perspectives, this is around the same time that your words and your actions also reflect healed perspectives. Why? Why am I saying this? Why is this about the same time that your words and actions will begin to reflect healed perspectives? That is because words and actions are the other half of the equation to manifestation. Okay? In order to pinpoint manifestation, your thoughts and emotions, which we talked about earlier, is the things that are emitting this energetic frequency into your magnetic field or your aura. Your thoughts and words is what's vibrating, is the vibration of your energy. They're emitting these frequencies into your magnetic field. But your thoughts, emotions, words, and actions must all be aligned to pinpoint manifestation. Okay? So, and if you just stop and think about that, it only makes sense. Thoughts and emotions go hand in hand. Your thoughts produce certain emotions. If you sit around and think about something sad, you're going to feel sad. If you sit around and think about all the things that are stressing you out or that give you anxiety, that you feel anxious about right now, you're going to feel anxious. If you think thoughts of defeat, you're going to feel defeated. Now, if you think about all the things that you are grateful for, you're going to feel grateful. This produces a feeling of bliss. If you think of experiences of love, whether it's self-love or your love for someone else, or the way that someone important to you has loved you in your life, you're going to also feel this great opening of your heart. that only love can produce. Love produces openness, openness to new possibilities, openness to other perspectives, open acceptance of your own self. Okay? So thoughts and emotions go hand in hand. All right? Now, sometimes we can be working on our thoughts and emotions, but we still have a habit of saying and doing certain things. Okay? You may be thinking, oh, I know my financial situation is going to get better. I'm attracting, money, or I am wealthy. I am abundant, right? And creating those emotions within yourself of feeling abundant and feeling grateful for what you do have. That's a great way to begin changing your financial situation, right? But if you still have a habit of saying, I'm broke, I don't have money, I can't afford that, then that's creating opposite energy. That's creating an energy of lack. Okay. So instead of saying, I'm broke, I can't afford that, you can say, I'm using my resources in another way right now. My resources are dedicated elsewhere. My resources are dedicated elsewhere. I'm investing my resources elsewhere. Okay? That is a statement of intention. Okay? So, you guys, I want you to think about what this looks like when your thoughts, emotions, words, and actions are all aligned. Because that is the formula for manifestation. Okay? Now, if you want to change what you're attracting in a particular area of your life, if you want to change your whole life, which many of us do, right? Then a good idea is to focus on the chakra or chakras that that are related to that issue. Okay. Let's give an example. Okay. So say you are wanting to, we'll talk about love and money. Everybody wants to talk about love and money, right? People ask for readings. Most of the time it's about love of some kind. It could be romantic, friend or family love, but it's love of some kind, or money. Okay, so let's talk about money. Let's start there. Money is primarily the chakra that rules your money situation is going to be your solar plexus. Okay, primarily. And I'm saying primarily because we're never truly working with only one chakra at a time. Chakras are energy centers. For those who are not familiar, they're energy centers within your body. Each energy center deals with a certain area of your life. It's represented by color. It rules certain aspects of your body. So the solar plexus chakra, for example, rules your digestive system. Okay. And and your digestive system is very much related to manifestation. Okay. Your the way that you metabolize or utilize the food that you eat is a reflection of how you utilize the resources you have in your life. Okay? If you have poor nutritional absorption in your digestive system, this is a reflection of not being in recognition of the resources that you have in your life, which looks like ingratitude. Okay? Poor utilization or failure to recognize what you do have going for you. This is a reflection of poor nutritional absorption. Okay? So, if you're wanting to make a change in the area of finance in your life, it may seem unrelated, but one thing you need to do is cleanse your digestive system. Begin to balance your digestive system. See, the solar plexus energy is the energy of individuation. So, being able to individuate or recognize your thoughts and your unique characteristics, your qualities, your goals, your values versus the values of the legions of people you're watching on social media. What's really important to you? What do you want? What are your values? What are your desires? That's individuation, right? The packs and crowds of people may be saying, "Oh, I want to be, filthy rich. I want to make my first 100 million." But you may just want enough money, however much money you can make, and still have time to enjoy your life, right? That may be your goal. That may be your goal. However much money allows me to pay my bills and travel and still have time for my family or have time for myself. That's how much money I want. That may be your goal. Don't allow yourself to be swept up in the value systems of others just because, that's what we're told that we should want. That's a part of individuation. Okay? So if you're having a hard time finding yourself getting in touch with your own desires and your own value system, one thing you can do physically to begin to channel the energy of individuation is cleansing your gut. If you're lacking direction and ambition or motivation in your life, that's all solar plexus energy, cleanse your gut. You can do this through balancing your gut microbiome, right? A wonderful way to do it is fasting, okay? And we're about to wrap up here, but I just want to give you an example. This is a very powerful example. A great way to begin to get back in touch with your star player, yourself, right? The main character in your story is through fasting, okay? Now, as you would notice, if you were to study different cultures, different religions, different spiritual paths, almost every religion or prescribed spiritual path includes fasting. And you'll notice when you practice fasting, you get this amazing sense of clarity, mental clarity, and even physical energy. Okay? And when I say fasting, I'm talking about abstaining from food. Okay? Now, it's not a coincidence that you become more in touch with yourself, more in touch with there's an aspect of divine guidance here as well, of gut intuition, right? But more in touch with your values, your desires, your ambitions when you fast, okay? And there's so much more I could say about that, but we're short on time. Okay, but working with that specific energy and making sure that everything that you think, everything that you feel, the words you allow to come out of your mouth about, your goals, your financial goals, your ambition, your motivation, as well as your actions all need to be in alignment. Now, when you do that, you begin to make that switch. You begin to flip that switch of attracting things that are aligned with your goals, with your ambition, with your values, with what motivates you. When you bring your thoughts, emotions, words, and actions all into alignment. Okay? So if you're dealing with one area in your life, just one specific area in your life, focus in on that one area. But if you're wanting a total life change, you can work on that one chakra at a time. Okay? And I'm not going to go through all of the chakras tonight because that information is too easy to find. Too easy to find online. Okay? There are 7 basic chakras, and you can work on those chakras one at a time. I would suggest starting with the root chakra and working your way up. Okay? Your root chakra deals with safety and stability, getting rid of mindsets of scarcity and lack. And it's very difficult to move forward to those other issues of the other chakras if you don't feel safe, if you are unstable, if you are not secure in who you are, if you have a mindset of scarcity and lack. So start there. Align your thoughts, words, emotions, and actions with your desired outcome in each area of your life. And I promise you, you will begin to attract a reflection of your healed self, a reflection of the things that you are healing for yourself in your life. Okay? Again, questions, if you have questions, put your questions in the chat. If this is bringing up questions for you, if you're wanting a suggestion on something specific, on a specific issue, and you're wondering where to start, and I can tap into that energy for you and feel into that for you before we close. But I want us to really begin to have an understanding that's more than peripheral. You know, I want us to utilize spiritually based information is more than just entertainment. Okay, I want us to begin to more heavily identify with our own spiritual journey than the many legions of voices online. Okay, what feels true for you? What is important? What do you want to change in your life? What aligns with your values? Okay, what can you change? What's coming up in your spirit as you listen to this message that, you know, what do I need to change? What do I need to confront? What do I need to sort through? What do I need to release? What do I need to embrace in order to begin attracting based on my healing journey, my healed self, a more expansive version of me versus that traumatized, contractive version of you? Okay, so I don't see any questions coming in, so we're going to go ahead and end. But thank you all for hanging in here tonight and being a part of this conversation. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you all again next week on Attracting Love Energy. Peace, love, and light.